I want to talk about shared property and public goods. You're in the opinion that there can't be. Maybe you can just lay out your position on that.
Sure. So I think that group property is just literally impossible. There is no such thing as group property. I think it is a legal fiction on the same level as intellectual property. Like, it is just something so wrong, which so many people have swallowed. So why do I think that there is no such thing as a group of people owning a thing? Well, let's just take a concrete example. Pardon me. So the set of people A through Z, they all own a stick together, right? A, he decides he wants to use this stick to spearfish. B doesn't want this to happen, right? How do we resolve this conflict? They both own it, right? So let's say that the spearfishing does happen. Whoops, then B didn't get what he wanted. So B does not own the stick, which contradicts our previous assumption that everybody owned the stick. Okay, well then let's say that the spearfishing doesn't happen. Whoops-a-daisies, then B gets what he wanted and A doesn't. So A doesn't own the stick. So that, which still contradicts our initial presumption that everybody in that set owned the stick. So no matter what you pick, whenever there's a conflict within the group, you're contradicting the initial presumption that they all owned it. And this is very clear to see if we just imagine, let's just say by fiat, everybody owns everything. Well, whoops, we're right back in the initial position that property rights were there to solve. Namely, how do you deal with conflicts? We don't know anymore, because everybody owns everything. Everybody owning everything means nobody owns anything. Like, it's just a complete and utter farce.
Okay. So basically, ownership means deciding, being able to decide. So first of all, do you make the difference between ownership and possession?
Yes. So ownership means the right to control something. Possession means just literally controlling a thing.
Okay, and in both of these, and it's both not. So who gives this right?
Nobody gives it.
Where does it come
Right?
from?
In the same way that nobody gives the law of non-contradiction. Nobody gives that law to us. It just is the case.
But a right is something that is that, like, how do you get that?
You don't get it. You just have it. It just is true.
Wait, if I don't have a stick, like right now, I don't have a stick.
Okay.
So I don't have the right, like I don't have a possession over a stick. And also I don't have ownership over a stick, right?
Okay, and the instant that you have a stick, you are the initial possessor of a stick.
Yeah.
Derived from your prior rights.
What are those?
You own that stick. The non-aggression principle. You have the right to not be aggressed upon.
Why is that important when I'm getting a stick?
Because if somebody came along and tried to take the stick off you, they'd be aggressing upon you. But you have a right to not be aggressed upon. So you have a right to keep the stick.
Yeah, but there is no one there yet, basically. So right now, I'm alone, and at this moment, like, no one is aggressing me and no one is doing anything to me. But basically, right now, I am taking a stick, and where does that right come from? Like, I think you said it, like first comer principle, something like that.
Yeah, the homestead principle.
Okay, so the possession. Sorry, which one was it? Ownership is, which one is right and which one is control?
Ownership is the right to control a given scarce good.
Yeah.
Possession is the actual physical controlling of it.
Yeah. Okay, and this right comes from the non-aggression principle, and the first. So because I'm the first one, I feel like it's not from the non-aggression principle. I feel like it's because I got it first. I'm the legitimate owner.
Right, but that's a corollary of the non-aggression principle.
what does it have to do? I'm not that I'm not clear yet why that's the case.
So, because you got there first, you got to the stick first,
Yeah.
that fact entails that anybody coming after you is initiating the conflict just by how the prior later distinction works, just by how time operates, right? They're the ones who came in and started the conflict, right? Because you were already using the thing, right? The stick in this
But even
case.
before they come
So
and initiate any conflict,
a corollary of the non-aggression principle is the homestead principle. The first comer gets to own the thing. A corollary of the aggression principle, where the aggressor gets to win, would be the anti-homestead principle, that the late comer is the one who gets to have it. The mere possessor ethic. It's just that's just what is entailed by these alternative principles.
I feel like I still have problems with the distinction between like what is your like if like right, in what sense do you mean when you say right? When you say you have the right to own that stick, do you mean like a legal right or do you mean like a moral right?
Uh, Both, because I think a
Both.
legal right is a moral right. I don't know what a moral right would mean, but presumably it's going to be the superset.
Yeah. Okay. So possession would be control. Right would be first coming from first comer principle and non-aggression. So you could give away the control and the right over that stick, right?
Yeah, you could trade it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think you can give away control. So obviously, I think like what's the problem with giving the right partially, like to give a partial right in the pure ownership sense? Like
Um,
since there is no aggression happening, and since you are basically giving it up, what would be the problem in that? Just in the pure, not in the control sense, but just in the pure ownership sense.
1 second, can we just table that for right now, so I can go take a piss?
Of course, of course, of
All right, I'll
course.
be back in just a moment.
All right. You can't hear me. Now you
I
can
think
hear
I
me.
can.
Now you can.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So yes, so the question was about giving away a partial right. Like if I have a stick, I can give a partial right.
Yeah, but just in the right sense, though, not in the so just in the who's the rightful owner, legitimate owner sense. So not in the controlling sense, since there's like this, since there is this distinction, right?
Yeah, so this gets down to the first principles of how you literally give away ownership to someone. Uh, the way you do that is by simultaneously abandoning the thing whilst the other person homesteads the thing. These happen simultaneously. But I can't abandon part of something. Like I can't abandon like a right to something isn't a bundle of rights. That's not what it means to own something. It's not that I own the right to do this with it and the right to do that with it, and like I can't abandon, if I've got a book, just the right to touch the book. I'm not able to abandon just that. I can only abandon the book as a complete physical entity. So I can only trade the entire book as a complete physical entity rather than just trading away the physical entity minus the right to copy it. Right? I can't do that. It's not possible. Like just
Yeah,
physically.
but you might. So first of all, I don't think that the physical part is really important here. I think the physical part is. I'm not sure if the physical part is important here. That's what I'm basically asking when asking that question. But then the other way we could basically split it apart, the control over it and also the legitimacy, like the legitimate right, would be that we either initiate a contract where we vote on it, uh, or we could just timely, like change it in time, like give ownership over time, right? Where I say, okay, you get it every second day, and I get it like every we just give it to each other every second day, and basically I have it half of the time, and you have it half of the time.
So neither of these work. So for the first one, where you give it ownership every other day, that's just exclusive ownership, but you're constantly trading it back and forth. Right? So that's not group ownership. That is individual ownership, but you keep flipping between people.
I don't think that's
The other
true.
one, the other one you gave was voting on it, which that doesn't solve the problem at all. So if they all vote and they decide that the spearfishing will indeed happen, well, it still happens, and B still doesn't fucking own it because he wanted it to not happen.
Okay, wait. So the first one, I disagree. Wait, what was the first one you said?
That you
I
give
so it would
ownership
be a
every
trade.
other day.
Yeah, yeah. No, that would not be a trade because basically you already the way you set it up is that you force the other person to give it back to you every day.
Sure, you can do that, but it's still a trade. Like
You
if I
can't
take
wait,
if it
but
gets
if
traded to me and I blow the book up and it no longer exists, I was like,
yeah,
whoops, well it no longer exists, so fuck you.
yeah,
Right?
that
I
would
haven't
be
committed
like
any
I
crime there because I
yeah,
own it.
yeah, exactly. That would not be allowed in my
Why wouldn't it
understanding
be
of
allowed? Because I
ownership.
own it. Do you own it?
That's the thing. Like you don't.
But you traded it to me.
You have to give it like, exactly that. I'm saying that I didn't trade it to you. Like you're saying that I traded it to you.
And in what sense is ownership mine?
I'm saying
Simply the
that
ownership flips each day.
it's restricted. So basically, it's restricted.
Restricted in what sense? So who owns it?
I've told you, like we both own it. That's my. I'm presenting a concept to you,
So
right?
wait. So we both own it.
Yes,
Therefore, I do indeed own it, right?
yes.
Because we both own it, so
But
I own it.
we don't we.
Hold on. We both own it, so I own it, so I'm allowed to blow it up.
What I'm saying with this concept is that you're giving up partial ownership of it. So you're basically
But there is a
not
bundle of rights. How do I partially abandon something?
that's what I'm trying to explain to you, man. You let me finish, and I'll try to explain to you. I believe that what this what we're doing is already what's happening when you're renting something. Do you think that renting out something is a legitimate contract?
Yeah, because I don't own the thing at all. Like even partially, I don't own it at
Yes.
all. I'm just
So
renting it.
that would mean, okay, maybe you do think that. I'm just curious. So that would mean that if you have a tenant and basically you can at any point you can just throw that tenant out, right?
Yeah.
But that would also mean that you could at any point decide to blow up your house, right?
Not with them in there.
Why not?
Like, so murder, because you don't own their body
Yeah, but you own
or their
you
property that they've moved in there.
wait, you if you basically say that you want your property back, and the moment you end the
you
contract,
can evict them.
yeah, exactly. But what's the conditions for that eviction? Like, what do you have to give like a minimum
The conditions
amount?
the conditions are set by the contract. So
Yeah.
maybe the contract, presumably,
Oh,
hold
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
Presumably, the contract would say, hey, if the landlord wants to evict before the contracted date, then he has to pay like 50% of the total rent, or he gives like back twice the deposit,
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right. And then he's evicting them, so they can just then move out with all the money they're going to get out of this.
Yeah. And how much time do they have to move out?
As much time as is reasonable.
Wait. What does that mean?
It means they can't just instantly blow it up, right? Because you can't possibly
Why
move out
not?
in that time.
Why not? It's their
Because
possession.
of the gentleness principle.
What's the gentleness principle? That's a completely new principle.
So the
I've
gentleness
never heard
principle
about that.
means the gentleness principle means that you are allowed to stop an ongoing aggression using the minimum possible force. So in this case, the person is not actually even aggressing against you yet, because they are complying with your order that they leave your property. They are indeed leaving. It's going to take a while for them to leave because they got to get all their shit out of there, right?
But who did?
Because
So basically,
you don't own that shit, right? If you want that shit to be removed faster, then you can pay for some fucking movers to get it out faster, right?
But you're basically through you renting.
You can't arbitrarily decide that they get it out within 1 picosecond. Like, that's not.
Like, why
You're not
not?
allowed
It's
to do
your
that.
property. It's your property.
Why would you be allowed to do that?
But that would mean that in that time you're not allowed to use your property the way you want to use it.
If you want to use your property in
Wait,
such
doesn't
a
that
way
mean
that
that?
hold on. If you want to use your property in such a way that this person's stuff gets removed in 1 picosecond,
Yeah.
then you can fucking figure out how to do that.
No, why?
Right? You hire the world's fastest movers,
But it's my
and you
property.
get them out there instantaneously.
But I can do what I want with my property, right?
If you can figure out how to do that with your property,
no,
go ahead.
I can.
They'll be glad.
Wait, me not being you. Just a minute ago, you said that you not being allowed to blow up your book is proof that you're not the owner of the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm saying,
I own the book.
Yeah, because you own the book. So owning your book. No, let me finish, man. You don't wait, Zulu. You don't let me finish. You don't let me finish. The
landlord doesn't own your microphone.
You don't let me finish. Please.
I know what you're gonna say.
Please, man. Come on, like it's a come on. You not being allowed to blow up the book was proof of you not owning the book. That's what you said. But now I'm asking you, why are you not allowed to blow up your house? And then you say,
he's allowed to blow up the house, just not your microphone within the house.
Doesn't matter. Like, it's my house.
Does matter.
Wait, I can do with my property what I want, right?
With just your property, yeah.
If you put your microphone in my house, I don't care, right? Normally, can I prevent you from blowing up your?
Care.
No, can I prevent you from?
I don't give a shit if you don't care.
Wait, can I just put stuff in your house and prevent you from doing shit with it?
Oh my god! So it depends on in which sense you're putting stuff in their house. So if you're a tenant in my flat and I decide, you know what, I want to blow this flat up, right? I'm not allowed to blow all of your stuff up and you with it. I have to say, hey, get out of my flat and I'll pay the penalty clause that we already agreed to. And once you're out, I'm going to blow up my stuff. I'm going to blow up my skyscraper or whatever it is, right? But I'm not allowed to blow up your things. In the book example, You were saying that I literally physically own the entire book, that you don't have like a bookmark in there which belongs to you, that it's just my book. I'm allowed to blow up that book. I'm
Can
not
I
allowed to
put
blow up that book and the bookmark that you put in there. I'd have to take the bookmark out. I'm allowed to blow up the book, not the bookmark.
can I just put stuff in your belongings and prevent you from doing stuff with it?
So if you're trying to blow yourself up, I'm not allowed
No,
to
I'm
just
that's a
shoot
normal
you and prevent
question,
you from
man.
blowing yourself up.
That's just a question. Like, can I just put stuff
So
in your
no is the
stuff?
answer, and I gave an example of why not.
I can't do that.
You're not allowed to. It's
But that's what
illegal. It's
but that's what
so
basically the tenant does.
if somebody is going to blow up a building, and I see all these signs saying this building is being blown up, and I throw a ball through the window and it blows up, I'm not allowed to complain that my ball got blown up because they had already communicated to everybody, hey, I'm blowing up this property, so I trespassed onto their property, which they are being destroyed. Right? That's different. Right? In the case of the tenant, they aren't throwing their things into the property at the moment of explosion.
How
Right?
long? How long?
It's the different. It's the difference between me taking my gun and aiming it at you and then shooting at you, versus me aiming it down a gun range and you jumping out in front of the bullet as I'm shooting at the target. It's the difference between those two things.
How long after you tell a tenant to get out? How long after that is that squatting, or how long after that are you allowed, after saying that?
It
How long
depends
after
how.
that
It
can
depends
you
upon how long it takes to move out.
wait? So there is a quantity attached to that, a fixed amount of time that is attached to that. That
Yeah, it's 1 year, and that's what natural law says. No, clearly not. Right? It depends upon the specific circumstances, and this is why we have courts.
yeah. So basically, but it's a minimal amount, right? There is a minimal amount, right?
Yeah, it's going to be some sort of range.
It's larger than a second, right? It's larger than, is it larger than 5 seconds?
So this is what you're getting at here.
Bro, can you not
called
answer that? Man, come on.
Let me answer.
But
What you're
it's just a
getting
yes
at
or no
here.
question. Is it
Let
larger
me-
than 5 seconds? And maybe I want to get at something. Like I'm trying to get at something, and you're just not willing to answer, and we're not getting.
Is it a
anywhere.
crime to do this?
No. I'm asking you.
Depends on the context.
Is
Is it
the
a crime to do
minimal?
that?
Is the minimal?
Is this a crime?
Is the minimal?
Is it a crime to do that?
Okay, you're
Is
trying.
that a
I feel
crime?
like you don't want to have the conversation.
I'm trying to explain to you why
I'm
there's more
asking you a
nuance to
question.
it.
I answer
Why can't it be a yes or no?
each and every one
It's
of your
literally
questions.
impossible. It's an invalid question.
Is the minimal amount
I
of a
reject the
tenant?
question.
Okay, you don't want to answer that question. Is
I'm
it longer
trying
than
to
a
say
peak second?
why I reject the question.
Okay.
So what you're getting at here is called a continuum problem. This has already been studied in libertarian theory. Okay, so the answer to a continuum problem is, it's not a crime to shine a single photon at someone's door, but it is a crime to shine a death laser which blows their house up. Right? There is some point in this continuum at which it becomes a crime. All right? And legal theorists, the jurist sitting in his armchair, is not able to tell you that limit. The limit, he's able to tell you where that limit would be, in the sense that he's able to say, hey, when it initiates a conflict, that's when it becomes a crime. But that's clearly not a specific number of photons.
But that is not
To
a
work that
problem.
out,
I
hold
agree
on.
with that.
To work that out, you need to have an actual case with a judge there. This is the distinction between the jurist, who tells you the principles of law, and the judge, who applies the law to a specific case. So I need to have a judge to apply it to a specific case, not a hypothetical. All I can answer on the hypothetical front is when it initiates conflict. That's when it's criminal. When it initiates a conflict, that's when it becomes squatting. That's all I can tell you. It's impossible to say any more. And I reject any question of, well, is it 5 seconds? I reject that question. I just reject it. It's not a valid question.
I feel like you don't want to. I don't know where to go from here. Like it's
Is
really
it
like
if
I
I
don't,
ask
man.
if I ask
Okay,
you some
man.
sort of question,
You don't even let me speak like for like 2 words. I just said I don't. You spoke for like five
you,
minutes now.
you
Wait,
can speak your whole thing.
you talk for like 5 minutes now, and I just said I don't know where to go from there, and you already interrupted me, man. Like, where do we go from here? Like, if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. We
Yeah.
can.
I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let you say your whole thing, and then at the end of it, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Man, I just want to have a conversation. It's not like I want you to completely shut up or
Again, you
anything.
can say your
Like
whole thing.
I'm just asking a reasonable question. I think like if
You can
there
say
is
your whole
a
thing. Go ahead.
man, I feel like you're pissed. I don't know why, but I feel like you're angry, and I don't see why. Like I've not disrespected you or anything, and I feel like I don't know. I think you're wrong. So that's why you get angry. There is
Did you want to say a point?
yeah, I believe
Okay, then
that
say the point.
let me do it. I believe that there is a minimal, like if either you're allowed to blow them up, there's just two possibilities. Either you're allowed to blow them up, or there is a minimum amount of time that you have to give them to get out of that property. That's just the two options that exist in a logical world. Like there is no other options. It's one of these two things. And if you're allowed to blow them up, that's I think a pretty bad consequence of your theory of not being able to give up ownership, because I believe that you can give up temporal ownership of your property. That's what I believe. And I believe that that's what's happening, because then you are basically, every time you rent out your apartment, you need to give a minimal amount of time. There is some amount of time X, let it be just 3 seconds, that is minimally required in order to evict that house, that shoe, that whatever it is, right? So because there is this minimal amount of time that you have to give, basically in this minimal amount of time, you've given up the right to control your property completely. That's what I believe. And doesn't matter what that time is. We just know that it exists. If we are not allowed to blow it up instantaneously, there is some nanosecond X. That's it.
Okay, so my question to that is, if I were to ask you some question, I'm not going to tell you the question, just some question, and you were to answer red to that question, would that be correct? Yes or no?
Bro, is that a serious question? Like,
Yeah, it's just a yes or no question. If I were to ask you some question and you answered red, would that be the correct answer?
that depends on the question.
Oh, so it's possible for me to ask invalid questions. You would say that you're rejecting my question.
No, I would just say that that's something that is relative. That depends on the case.
Yeah, it depends upon the case.
But I
How
can tell
long
you
does it take
I can
to
tell you
move out?
but I can tell you under which circumstances it is true and under which circumstances it is false.
So can I. And I did. I gave you the
Okay?
principle. It's called, what was it? The non-aggression principle, right?
Yeah.
It is, if it's aggressive, then you're not allowed to do it. If it's aggressive to blow it up, then it's licit. If it's non-aggressive, if it's aggressive, then it's illicit. If it's non-aggressive, then it's licit. Right? I gave you that standard. And to apply, you need to apply that standard to a specific case. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to give you any specifics of the scenario, and you just have to answer yes or no, is it aggression? Well, I can't do that. Just in the same way that if I can't just say, well, I'm not going to tell you the question, but you just answered red to it.
Wait, I'm
So is
not
that correct or incorrect? Like that's the same thing.
that's not the same thing, because I'm asking you.
There isn't, because there isn't a general principle which tells me how long a tenant is allowed to take to leave. It's not a
That's not
general
what I'm
thing. It's a
that's not what I'm
specific
asking.
thing.
That's not what I'm asking. Do you think you would be able to come up with a number that is definitely lower than all evictions that ever took place in human history?
No, because it's not general.
Wait, would you be able to come up with a number? Let me ask it to you for something else, okay? Would you be able to come up with a number in seconds that is smaller than all the eviction that have ever taken place in human history?
0.
Something above 0.
Epsilon. Like, what?
No,
What the
epsilon
fuck do you want?
is not a number. So could you say that 5 nanoseconds is smaller, is a lower amount of time than every eviction in human history?
Almost certainly, yes.
Okay, so okay, so every eviction will take less than 5 nanoseconds, right?
No. You said you asked for a smaller number.
Sorry,
So it'd take
it will
long.
take longer. I'm sorry. That's what I mean. Every eviction will take longer than 5 nanoseconds, right?
Mhm.
That means for every eviction that you do, you have to give up the control over your apartment for at least 5 nanoseconds. You're not
No.
allowed, every time you rent out your apartment, you're
No.
not
That doesn't
allowed.
follow.
That
You
implies,
give up your. You have to give up your control of their property, not your property. Of the property that they've moved into your apartment, not the apartment itself.
I
This is
thought,
what I'm trying to
I
explain.
thought not being able to blow up is proof of you not owning that object.
The whole object.
Yeah, the whole object.
I'm allowed to blow up the book,
Yeah.
not the bookmark. If it's your bookmark,
No,
I'm not
no,
allowed to blow it up.
it's
I have
not
to
even
evict
about,
the bookmark.
it's not
I have
even
to
about,
take it out.
it's not even about, forget about blowing it up. Just you don't want them, like you didn't you, like I heard you say that you owning something is you being able to exclude someone from that place. So for 5 nanoseconds, you're not allowed to exclude someone from that
No.
place,
You are
right?
allowed to exclude them. Instantaneously, you're allowed to exclude them. And what does it look like to exclude them? It looks like evicting them,
For 5
right? That takes
nanoseconds,
time.
for
That
5
takes
nanoseconds.
Shut up. That takes time to do. Because we live in reality. You can't instantly get something done. That isn't how it works.
If they're
You
really
have to
fast,
take time to evict them, right? That's what you have to take time to exclude the person from your property. That all follows. Like this isn't difficult.
if you want to evict me, I have 5 nanoseconds to do whatever the fuck I want in your apartment. If I want, I can sit on the couch and drink a mojito in that 5 nanoseconds, and you can't do shit about it. You're not
If you can do
allowed.
that in that 5 nanoseconds, then you can get
Exactly.
out in that 5 nanoseconds.
Exactly. But that's what I mean. So you're not in
You
control.
are.
You're not in control of
Well,
your
again, this
apartment
is
in
why I
these
didn't
five
want to give you an
nanoseconds.
answer there,
I
because
know.
you just do stuff like this.
I know.
You do stuff like just, well, maybe I'm a wizard. You started off with, well, in reality, how long? What is the lower bound that we can
Okay,
have
can
where it's literally
yeah.
impossible to do anything in that amount of time? And you gave 5 nanoseconds. It's like, okay, whatever. And then now you're moving back to, well, what if I'm the Flash and I can indeed do things in that 5 nano? But the whole point of the 5 nanoseconds was that nothing could be done in that 5 nanoseconds. So you've
No.
changed it. You changed the scenario,
No.
and you thought I wouldn't notice.
No. How did I change the scenario? It's still 5 nanoseconds. In
Because
these
the
5 nanoseconds, I can do
the
whatever I
scenario
want.
initially the scenario was, we need a time so small that nothing could ever happen in that amount of time.
That's
And
not
then
what
you
I asked
changed it
you.
to, well, I'm the
I
Flash, and I can do things in this 5 nanoseconds. I can sit down on the couch, I can drink a mojito. I'm just a fucking superhero,
can
and
I
I
have
can
a
do all these things. It's 5 nanoseconds.
can I
But like, no, that's a different fucking scenario. Then it has to be even smaller. It has to be a fucking Planck time or whatever.
do you think that all evictions all over history have taken longer than 1 second?
Almost certainly, yes.
Okay. Can I blink in 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to enjoy my free blink in your apartment while you own it and you can't do shit about it and you can't do anything to exclude me. That's what
I don't know if you know this.
that's the
but you can
principle.
blink whilst leaving a place. Like, it's possible for me to be leaving here whilst blinking. Like, these are not mutually exclusive here.
I know, I haven't said that they are mutually exclusive. It's just that you give up control. Like the moment you rent out your place, you give up control over your place, which is for you the definition of ownership. You give up control over your place for 1 second, at least.
No,
because you don't have the right to evict me in that 1 second. You don't have the right to shoot me immediately.
You in that 1 second.
Okay.